Hey guys, today on the Level Up REI podcast with Rick, we've got my good buddy, mentor, coach, all that good stuff, and also a gentleman that taught me how to buy my time back in my real estate investing, Mr. Bob Lachance.
Rick, thanks for having me, brother. Thanks for
I'm,
having
I'm glad you were able to carve out some time to do this, man. There's so many people that are looking to hear your story and how you can help them grow their business. Let's jump right into it, Bob. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
me. I'm an old dude right now. I've been in this business for a long time. It's great to see you, Rick. Usually we're at the bar having a cocktail right now, not in camera, but I missed you, man. We haven't gotten together in a long time, but I don't know how I started. I started, this about 21 years ago. Prior to that, I played professional hockey for 8 years. Got into real estate through, the reason why I got in real estate, it's either I needed to go back to school because, and I know you know this story, so it's kind of funny me telling this story again,
I
but
love to hear it, buddy. It
uh,
inspires me every single time.
but I left school early. This is back in 1996, two classes short getting my degree. So my whole mindset was I was going to play in the NHL, make a ton of money, and never have to work again. Just like every
Right?
young dumb kid coming out of sports looking to play professionally.
That's it.
I was fortunate to sign a professional contract with St. Louis. I played in their minor league team for 2 years. Then I signed with a couple other teams here in the U.S. And then I ended up 4 years in Europe, which was a blast, a lot of fun. But what happens in professional sports or any type of sport, you get older, you have a couple knee surgeries, and you have to figure out what you're going to do after that sport ends. So I had a decision to make, pointed decision that we talk about a lot. It's either go back to school and get my degree or jump into an industry that did not need any barrier of entry. So I looked at it. I didn't really like going back to school. So I jumped into an industry. I did a lot of research online and, saw a lot of people were making money in real estate. Again, this wasn't like the internet today.
Right.
I mean, literally, this is 2000, started in 2001, 2, 3, and I retired in 2004. And I decided to jump into real estate, just like I said. How I first got into it, I thought I was a rehabber, Rick. Like literally, I didn't know anything about real estate. It's jumping into an industry, and you're a fish in a new pond, right? A fish
Yep.
in an ocean. I came from hockey locker room, and you don't talk business in a hockey locker room. So if anyone has ever been in a locker room for a certain period of years, you realize it's not as productive as you would like it to be when you look back at it. But
Yep.
it was fun. I do have to say, I would never undo one day of playing sports in here in the United States. So anyway, one thing I did learn, and I know you teach this, it's one thing that we have to do in real estate is take action. Right. This is
Right.
before I started my virtual assistant company, before I really got into coaching and back in the day. I don't coach anymore, just to be transparent. You know that, but I'll
Yep.
get into that story.
Yep.
But one thing I did is I got in my car and I drove around neighborhoods and I farmed areas. And I learned this from a book I bought online. It was, I think the gentleman's name was David Wisnett. He's an
Okay.
attorney and it was all about real estate, but not really all about any niche, but it was a
Right.
real thick course like that. So I read through literally the whole thing, but it taught me what farming areas was. So
Right.
farmed a bunch of areas, and I drove, up and down neighborhoods, and it taught me to look at any property that looked beat up. So I would pick up the phone and I'd go home, I would skip trace, I'd go to 401.com and I would look up that number and I would
Yep.
call the homeowner. But there's one property that was listed. It was on Whiting Lane in West Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay.
And I set up a showing. It was listed with an agent. And I walked into the house, literally opened the door, and just a huge smell of cat piss. I'm like, oh, and I remember though, good thing in that course it said, hey, always look at the corners of the house because that's where cats go pee. And typically what you can do, and this again, this is back then, there's probably stuff you could do now a lot better than what I did then. It said you
Right.
take out that wood in that area because it's very difficult to get the smell out, blah, 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 blah. So that
Yeah.
was my mindset. I'm like, okay, it was listed for 185. I put an offer in. It was either 185, 175. Again, this is 2004.
Right.
I put an offer on 135 and they accepted it. And I'm like,
Okay.
uh-oh. I'm like, what do I do now? Dude, I had
Now
no
what?
contractors. I didn't have, I had X amount of money put away, but I didn't really have any resources. I had no network. I had nothing. So I picked up what was called the Foothills Trader, and I went through all of the contractors. So I called a bunch of contractors. Only one dude showed up. His name was Junior. I'm like, all right, this is my guy. It was a Brazilian dude, a Brazilian crew, which I ended up working together for probably about 10 years before they moved down to Florida.
Nice.
Awesome guys. So anyway, did the rehab, literally, actually funny story. I mean, I think you know this. The first day I was rehabbing the house, this is why I will never do work on a property ever again. I literally fell off the roof. So but this is on a smaller garage. So it just rained the day before, and I didn't understand what backing a ladder was, which I should because I worked for my dad growing up, and he was a contractor. Anyway, I was all excited. I had the fork, getting the roof on the garage off, and I'm going, I'm all excited. I'm by myself. The ladder kicks out, and I'm like, boom, right down. It wasn't too high, but the ladder came back, and I thought I broke my shins. It was ridiculous. So anyway, right then and there, I'm like, I'm done. I'm,
That
you know,
was it.
yeah, I'm never gonna do anything again on a house. So anyway, fast forward, finished in 30 days. The crew was awesome. We
Nice.
sold it in an open house, made 32 grand first 2 months. I'm like, whoo, this is awesome. However, I also realized that I had zero systems. I had no marketing. I didn't understand what any of that was. So
Right.
I joined my local RIA group, and then I heard a speaker speak on pre-foreclosure.
Yep.
And then at that point, dude, I was a buyer. I would have bought everything, right? So
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
literally now I'm consuming education because I didn't know anything.
Yep.
And it's kind of funny. That's why I didn't go back to school because I didn't want to go back get my degree. But now I really enjoyed learning of something
Learning.
I had passion about.
Yep.
So, funny story. Well, all these people. I saw a pre-foreclosure speaker speak on pre-foreclosure. So I bought that course. I'm like, these are all short sales for anyone listening to this.
Yep.
When a debt is too high, or let's say properties, the debt is $200,000, but the value is 150. So that's a short sale. The bank takes a short sale to get the property sold. So I learned about that. I'm like, all right, now I want to be a short sale investor. I went from a rehabber to a short sale investor. So the next RIA group, Real Estate Investment Association group, I asked pretty much almost anybody I could talk to who the best person in Connecticut was at short sales. And they all pointed to this individual, Pat Precourt, which you know.
Yep. Yep.
I went up to him and I said, Pat, I'm not looking for a job, but I'm looking to join a team. And he's like, actually, I'm looking for an acquisition guy. I'm looking for a door knocker. And I'm like, all right, I'll do it. So he handed me a list of people not paying their mortgage. So I went door to door from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every Monday through Friday for the first year. And I
Nice.
would have to try to get these properties under contract. And then after that, once I had some success there, I brought on a door knocker for me and I started negotiating with banks.
Yep.
And, we've done probably since then a couple thousand short sale transactions. Again, this is over the years.
Right.
We also helped start a real estate education program. Pat and I were running the back end of the coaching program
Yep.
back in 2006. And we were speaking on stage and doing all kind of cool stuff. And then 2007, our buddies from Fortune Builders, Stan, Paul, and Conrad, came to us because they were in Connecticut at the time, and they said, "Hey,
Yep.
we started this company called Fortune Builders, and we never coached. We never actually did coaching before. And I know you guys have a coaching program that you're working with right now. You guys want to partner?" I'm like, "Sure." We didn't know. They're football guys. I'm a hockey guy. Pat's a rugby guy, so we didn't know. So
Right.
we didn't know how this would turn out. So we said yes. We like you guys. We've been they were investing, they were doing a lot of transactions here in Connecticut, and so were we. So, Than would call me all the time, say, "Hey, I got a deal with Bank of America. Who's a good contact person to talk to there?" And I was always on the phones negotiating with banks. So
Yep.
him and I would talk all the time. And so we had that rapport built. So we ended up coming to an agreement and started that coaching program. That's obviously where you and I met.
Yep.
Started that organization in 2007, and obviously it morphed to the size of company it was. But
Yep.
that's when you and I met. You were a student. If you want to tell that story, you could tell that
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll share that real quick. Right there is where, so Bob's very humble, and what he's not sharing is that they built probably the biggest, not just the biggest, but the Cadillac of real estate education in those days on the coaching side. And not only just build the number of coaches and the number of students, but the results, right? So I'm a big advocate on coaching. We do coach now, but we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for investing in the education, going through the Fortune Builder program, connecting with people like you, and everything that came along with that. You know, I know that you like to kind of glaze over the success and what you built over there, but the
Well,
people.
you said something important. I don't mean to interrupt you, but you said
You're
something
right.
very, very important. You look at the individual. This is why Fortune Millers was successful because we all did the business.
Mm-hmm.
What I think is very, very important, a
Yeah.
lot of people miss.
Yeah.
They do, like, they'll see someone on a podcast and they're like, oh, well, this person's the best. They're not the best unless they do the business. And
Right.
I want to make sure that people are very aware that
100%.
today's day and age, there's so many moving parts with the economy, with the government, with local laws, with all this different kind of stuff. If you don't do the business today, just be careful. If you're looking at any mentorship, just
Yeah.
do your due diligence or any service provider, if you will. Make sure they're using their service or product if they're going to give you advice. So,
In the business.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think
No,
that's very,
you're all right. No, you're right, and that's where I was going. Was everybody that you so Bob was responsible for hiring the coaches in the coaching program, him and Pat at the beginning, was but every you guys plucked and brought people out that came through the coaching program that had a certain level of success and was credible to be able to coach the students coming in behind them. So it was like a circle of success, right? You'd come in, you'd have success, you'd coach, and then you'd kind of work the big sphere. And that was genius, in my opinion. And I,
and that was the model. So for you guys, for listening to this, always look at business models. I think business models are really cool. So the business model we had in Fortune Builders was you would actually look at the student base that, the cream rises to the top. So what
right,
I would do is I would look at the students that were successful and I'd say, hey, would you be interested in coaching? Would you be interested in giving back to what you got out of a program? And
right,
it was a really easy sell because the organization, it was a great culture, right?
right,
The culture that was
100%,
built, it was, you know, uh, uh, work hard, play hard, right? We
right,
always had that culture, and it was, we're going to make sure that everyone's successful because it all has to do with results. The
yep,
best companies out there care about the individual's results. And I
yes,
think,
sir,
again, that is a missing link too. And a lot of different things that we look at today's day and age is you just see all the flashy BS online. And you know what?
yep.
I know a majority of that stuff's not true because I know some individuals that are flashing this stuff, and I'm like, it just be my point. You get my point. It's just
100%.
be aware.
Yep, yep. So I'm grateful for the opportunity that you gave me in those days, and me, my family, everybody that's involved with Howell Properties and what we do here would not be here without that experience. So thank you for that. But yeah, roll on to how how you grew your real estate business after the coaching kind of went away.
Yeah. So you know what? I've always, that I've always been investing in real estate. So while I was doing coaching,
Yeah,
reason why I started my virtual assistant company during that time was, and you experienced the same thing. We would give our coaching students homework assignments or
yep.
tasks to do in order, because we're giving them a recipe to be successful if they did the actual tasks
Good
we were
work.
telling them.
Yep,
What I found was I would get on a call with these individuals, let's say this week, and then I would set up a follow-up call week after. And I'd realize and I'd find out that majority of those tasks were not being done.
yep.
And so we as coaches, we'd have to push them to get those done because that's the only way they're going to be successful. But I was always looking for years. Was there a service? Is there a product that we could refer those students to that'll help them get their time back and actually deliver on the tasks in the end result that we wanted them to get, right? Again,
Right.
people are going to be only as good as they're going to be, not as good as you want them to be, right? Because you
Yep.
can't actually do the tasks for them or you
For
can't
them.
make decisions for them. So you could give somebody the roadmap. It's their job to actually implement that roadmap and implement those tasks. So anyway, 2013, I got introduced to what a virtual assistant was. So I'm like, all right, I'm coaching. I got my own real estate company. Now let me add in a virtual assistant to do the tasks that I needed them to do in my real estate business.
Right.
And then 2014, a light bulb went on, and I'm like, you know what? This is the answer. This is exactly what our students need. So I started my first virtual assistant company in 2014 by marrying the coaching program we created with the virtual assistant world. So a lot of people knew what virtual assistants were in the agent world, but not in the investor world. So we
Got it.
kind of started that whole model. I mean, there's obviously more companies. There's a lot of copycat companies out there, because it's a very needed niche out there for
Yes.
for everybody. Not only in real estate, we have a whole medical division side as well. So it's outside of real estate. Outsourcing is very, very important. I think every single person that's listening to this should be outsourcing something, because I mean, I don't know, but yeah, I live in Connecticut, and my minimum wage is up to $15.69 per hour. So, I mean, it starts getting expensive if you're going to be looking to pay someone minimum wage, and you're not going to get the highest level individual. So,
Right.
anyway, that started in 2014. Now, fast forward, I've been in business for 10 years, and on top of that, we have around 20 VAs in our own real estate company, and we did over 200, I think 9 transactions last year. So,
But over 200, right?
yep.
What so if I'm the brand new person listening, I'm doing some deals, I'm making some dollars, I need to take some things off of my plate. What are some tasks that somebody first starting off that a VA can help with a new investor?
Yeah, I mean, I would start looking at, obviously we need to be out there. You need to present yourself. You need branding. So a lot of our clients use virtual assistants to do stuff like this. So for instance, this particular podcast, once we're done with it,
Yep.
you'll send it over to me. I send it over
Yep.
to my VA team. They cut it up and they start posting it on social. This is
Okay.
just from us doing this for 30 minutes,
Yep.
right? So now I'm out there all the time. How could you also do it? You could walk through a house. Even if you're brand new, you could actually take your camera, walk through a house, just do a video walkthrough. This is what I see, this is what I see, and then send it over to your virtual assistant. They could cut it up and start posting content, right?
Okay.
That's the easiest thing to do. And the next thing, obviously, if you don't have any deals yet, it's lead generation. Everybody needs leads, and there's a
Yep.
lot of different tasks. Obviously, you get a hold of our team. There's a lot of different tasks that you can do with a virtual assistant, whether it's direct outreach to sellers or if it's inbound, responding to, you do a lot of TV, right? If
Yep.
it's TV, if it's direct mail, if it's PPC, a lot of outreach. One of the things that we realize in our business, and I know I go through this and you go through this, is once you actually get a lot of lead generation, your leads start piling up, piling up, piling up. And
Yep.
think about this. If you get 20 leads this week, Rick, and it's only you, and you try to call someone, they don't answer. You're going
Yep.
to the next one. You're going to the next one. Before you know it, the next week you have another 20. Now you have 40.
Yep.
Now you have 60. Now you have 80. It's just a matter of, we're only limited to amount of time that we have in our days. So virtual assistants are fantastic for that to start.
Got it. When you first start with if I'm hiring my first VA today or team of VAs, how does that work as far as their time schedules? I know their time schedule is a little different over there. And are we based in the Philippines? Is that where we're at?
Yeah, all my VAs are in the Philippines. Yep.
Okay, so how does that handle the time shift? Is there certain time blocks? Are they 8 hours a day, 4 hours, or 40 hours a week? How's that work?
Yeah, we do part-time, full-time, so either four
Okay.
hours a day or 8 hours a day, and they all work during your time zone. So if
Okay,
I'm
so they'll adapt to you.
exactly. Yep.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, they all adapt. And one of the things that I realized when I first, so and I say this, Rick, I'm very, very transparent. Anybody could go get a VA themselves if they want. There's sites out there that you could definitely go get a virtual assistant, but you're going to have to find them. You have to vet them. You're going to have to source them. You're going to have to look at all the applications. So we set up a system or process that makes it very, very easy. So we have our whole team, sourcing and recruiting team over there. And once they sift through all these applications, they interview everybody. So we probably go through over 1,000 applications per month to sift
Okay.
through the best of the best.
All
Once
right.
they get through, then we put them over to our training team, and our training team puts them through about a month of training on different real estate tasks, cold calling, phone handling, appointment setting, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
And as soon as they pass the test, because not everyone passes the test. So we
Right.
have testing throughout the process. We have a lot of different, skill set, capacity, things like that. Once they pass our test, then they go to our placements team, and our placements team matches them up with the client. So if you're looking for someone that's on the phone, We do predictive index, so we match them up with that skill set. It's almost like Match.com for the real estate business.
Yeah.
You match them up, and then they move over to our operations team, and you get a manager, operations manager, what we call a client service manager that oversees the relationship between you and your virtual assistant. So
Nice.
we
So
have it
that's,
very, very systemized.
I was checking out your pictures from your event. I think was that the end of the year event last year?
Yeah,
That was, I was impressed, man. Good for
it
you.
was it was a
Good,
good time. It was a fun time too. It was good
good for you. And you see, and you built that from just nothing.
from scratch, from an idea, from an
Right.
idea. Yep.
Right. And how many people were there at that? How many you got on staff?
So there were probably about 500.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That resembled like a small Ignite, man.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well,
That
Ignite
was,
was 5,000.
yeah.
Ignite was
Yeah.
5,000. That was not.
That picture, I was impressed because I remember in 2016 when you were telling me an idea of you were building this. It
Yeah.
was just getting traction, you know, and to see what you've grown it to today, the results must be really there for your investors that you're working with.
Yeah, it's cool because I mean, a lot of them individuals that use our virtual assistants, we know because the real estate investing world is actually small. We have a
Right.
lot of property managers, we have outside real estate, like I said, you have, medical, and we do a lot of different stuff. But we have roofing companies that we have. One of my buddies is a roofing company that have over 8 of our VAs
Oh,
that do
nice.
a lot of different tasks. Property managers, it's huge in property managers, accounting, bookkeeping, things like
Okay.
that on top of the real estate industry. We do in our business, we mainly do wholesale, a little bit of fix and flip, but we
Okay.
mainly do wholesaling. Like I said, we have over 20 VAs that are doing odd, different types of jobs within our own company as well.
So a lot of people are just getting rolling, maybe evolving from wholesaling into fix and flipping. What does it take? What is a wholesale or your first VA, say it's a cold caller, text message, whatever it is.
Yep.
What's the best thing to hire for when you first get started using a VA?
Like you said, if it's lead generation right there, right?
Right out of the gate, the
Yeah,
cold
so
calling,
I always
texting.
look at, it's funny because for me, I door knocked when I first got started.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it, we don't have to do that anymore because of technology.
Right.
So, but what I would do is I would actually door knock and then I would skip trace, look for the phone number for that one individual. Then I would call until 7 o'clock every single night. Not every night, it's Monday through Friday typically.
Right.
But I started getting burnt out.
Uh-huh.
Being on the phone that long for an individual, because you're doing everything. If you're, even a small business or to medium-sized business, you're doing a lot of different stuff in your business. So
Right.
I realized I started getting burnt out. I'm like, man, I need some help. So then that's when I brought on a different door knocker. But now what I would look at, like you said, someone working the phones, someone working whether it's cold calling, text message, following up, things like that.
That's good, man. That's really valuable. I know that a lot of people start off, we all wear all the hats, you
Hmm.
know, and it's normal. You know, so anybody listening to this, don't get discouraged. You don't have to start off tomorrow flipping a house and go buy 20 VAs. You know, Bob's been doing this damn near 20 years.
Yep.
But take to just the small things. If you can
Boom.
if you
Yep.
can free up a couple hours a day to where you can focus on the things that you enjoy. See, me personally, if I could talk to sellers, I enjoy negotiating deals with sellers. I enjoy negotiating deals with sellers, and I enjoy communicating with my project manager. I'm a construction guy. That's kind of what I enjoy, those two things. If I could focus all my time on negotiating deals with sellers and coordinating with my project manager, I'd be a happy guy, right?
Yeah.
All that
Yep.
other stuff, the $10 an hour tasks, some come off of your plate with one of your VAs. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and one of the things you could do is just grab your phone. Here's what I would do. I would just start documenting what you do on a daily basis. Do it for 2 weeks, right? Just
Yeah,
start documenting, just start writing it down, and you'll realize that the tasks that aren't putting money in your pocket or the ones that drain your energy, get
yeah.
rid of. Like you
Get them
said,
off your
so
plate.
you love talking to sellers,
Yep,
right? And I
yep,
think a great thing that virtual assistants do is they do lead generation. So they'll send you the lead so you could talk to those sellers, right? I
yep.
don't recommend, I get this question, hey, what do you recommend VAs not doing? Honestly, they shouldn't be closing your deals because that's your business. And
Yeah,
I know some people argue with me and then I'm like,
yeah. I'm with you.
tried it. I've tried it for 21 years.
I'm with you, brother. A
Yeah.
hundred percent. I see people trying to pitch that all the time.
Yeah.
You're closing VA, and I'm like, what? That doesn't even make sense, you know?
Makes no sense. But
But to tee it up for you, tee it up makes all the sense in the world.
appointment setting,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Tee it up makes all the sense in the world. That's awesome, man. So what's next for Riva Global? I know that you guys have gone through some growth and you
Yep.
ventured over into the medical aspect. Where do you see you guys growing over the next year,
I would
five?
say, I think it's continued to just grow steadily. I think it's, for some companies, I think, if you maintain and grow steadily, you don't have to, double your business. I don't think
Right.
anyone, you don't have to do that to be successful,
Right.
right? So
Yep.
for us, we look at it, just continue growth, slow and steady progress in both my real estate and my virtual assistant company. That's what I'm looking at nowadays.
The real estate, it's I love seeing the growth of your real estate stuff. So you're wholesaling a lot now.
Yep.
And
Yep.
what markets? Where can people find you as a buyer?
Yeah, we're doing Connecticut. We got Pennsylvania, a little bit Massachusetts, Rhode Island.
Okay.
Yep. So mainly those markets right now.
East Coast stuff.
Yep.
Good for you. Good for you, man. Good for you. Is that what's your team look like over there? What's your mainland team like?
So we have, I mean, literally we're hiring almost every day. We talked about
Are
this
you?
before we jumped on. We have two dispo guys. We just added another that was going to be our acquisition guy. Literally, we just got out of a meeting right before I jumped on here. And I think we're at one, two, three, five, I think 6 or 7 acquisition guys, three
Good for you, man.
dispo. We got 2 TC, we got 2 admin, we got a bunch of VAs.
Good for you. Good for
Yep.
you, man. That's awesome. And your niche is wholesaling.
Yep.
Good
Yep.
for you.
I mean, we
Good.
talked about, and I know you and I kind of brainstorm about this sometimes. We do have a construction guy that we could start doing some minor rehabs. Right now, our state, we have a lot of buyers and not a lot of inventory. So there's no
Ah,
reason yet to jump into that.
yep.
But as soon as that starts changing, we're going to have to change our model a little bit, doing a little more fix and flip because the buyer changes.
Right. Right. Well, I'll tell you, it's I think the 2025 for everybody is going to be pretty lucrative. I think there's going to be a lot of positive changes financially. I mean, just the bottom line. I was joking around about this with the guy in the sauna this morning. He's a factory gentleman, and he says, "Man, I got a $60 a week raise." And I said, "What do you mean? What's that mean?" He says, "Well, gas dropped a dollar over the past week." And he said, "I put $60 a week in my truck." And
That's
I
awesome.
was like, "Well, shit, that's two. You just gave yourself a $240 a week raise, man. So, hey,
Yeah.
if you want to get into some real estate, here we go."
That's awesome. It is true. It is true. I love it. Love it.
So we're going to put this out and we're going to put this in front of as many eyeballs as humanly possible, Bob. And I would like to know, where can people find you and Riva Global? How if people want to contact you, they're interested in VAs. Number one,
Yep.
feel free to drop a message to me anytime you want. I'm highly credible with Bob here, but if they want to reach out to you directly or your company, how do they do that?
Yeah, just go to Riva Global, REVA global.com. You can also send me an email to bob@rivaglobal.com. We're also on all social, Instagram, Facebook, all over the place.
For all my sports fanatics and my hockey buddies out there, Bob, don't you also have a podcast?
Oh, we do. That's right. Pucks to
Yeah.
property. So if there's any ex-hockey players out there that want to get on
Yeah.
our podcast, that's right. They want to get on
I
our
got you,
podcast.
brother.
I always forget that. We just do it for fun and also to give back and help back to the, professional hockey community because a lot of individuals when they're done playing, man, it's you're a fish out of water. You go through a tough time trying to transition to regular life. So it's a very, very cool podcast.
Yeah, what's the name of it?
Pucks to properties.
Pucks to Properties podcast. Bob Lachance. Don't everybody write that down and check it out. I'll tell you what, you see these guys, they're all humble and professional on this one, but they're a bunch of clowns and like to have a good time. I can only imagine what goes on in that podcast.
It's fun. It is fun. Thanks for having me, Rick.
You got it. Thanks a lot, brother. We'll talk soon. Let me
Awesome.
everybody else follow us at Level Up REI podcast and Level Up REI Academy if you're interested in learning more. Talk to you soon.